Home decor doesn't have to be expensive, especially if you love going thrifting like I do. Finding the perfect piece doesn't always happen, but with a little imagination and some DIY, you can definitely give it a glow up. Hey there, welcome back to the Schwowin's Nest. Wooden crates and boxes are always a great find at thrift shops. This one was $4.99, and although the wood grain is beautiful, it's really dirty and a bit banged up. So I'm going to clean it and give it a little bit of a sanding, then clean it again, and then I'm going to add something to it that I've never done before. I've been wanting to try resin in molds for a long time, and I finally got some from Amazon. Most resins are a 1-to-1 mix ratio, and this product came with a few little pour beakers and some mixing sticks. Then all you do is pour it into your mold. I started with 20 milliliters of each bottle, and that gave me a bunch of resin. So once I filled this fleur-de-lis that I want to use on my crate, I filled a few more in other molds just to get rid of the resin and use it all up. Now, some resins dry very quickly. Others, like this one, need about 12 hours to set up. I poured too much resin into this mold, so it did run over a little bit down at the bottom. But for the first time using it, I think it worked out well anyway. I forgot to turn my camera on when I was applying the mold to the crate. I simply used Weld Bond glue and masking tape to hold it in place until it was dry for about 3 hours. It really turned out beautiful. Farmhouse style is still my absolute favorite, so I'm going to use Dropcloth by DIXIE paint to put 2 coats on the crate, including the fleur-de-lis, to give it a rustic country vibe. This color is a really beautiful creamy off-white color with some cool tones. Now it's completely dry, so I'll use sandpaper to go over all of the edges and take the paint completely down to the wood. Then I remembered that my rotary tool still had the sanding attachment on it, so I grabbed that to make the sanding easier. If you're an avid crafter like me, a rotary tool can be a lifesaver. This one has cutting, sanding, and drilling bits, but you can also use small regular drill bits too for soft wood. I have this one, it's from Hodo, and a few others listed in my Amazon store if you want to take a look. And while I'm talking about Amazon, I'd like to thank everyone who has supported my Amazon store by using my link to purchase products. As an Amazon affiliate, I receive a commission for each product that is purchased using my link. And because of that, I was able to get the resin product free, which gives me the ability to show you how it works, so we end up helping each other. In my last video, I used antique wax to age my projects, but I wanted to try something different today. So I grabbed my water-based salmon stain in dark walnut and diluted it with some water. Using a brush, I'm going to put it on, then immediately wipe it off with a cloth or paper towel. This will give the crate a worn and weathered appearance, which is what I love. Also added some additional stain into the bare wood areas to darken it even more. When I put it on the mold, it was gorgeous. The only thing I would do differently for the mold area is not to use anything water-based, because when I started adding it on and then wiping it off, the paint started to lift up. Resin is basically plastic, so any type of moisture will peel the paint off. But I love the distressed look, so I let it be. Adding some lavender to the crate is the icing on the cake. Nothing speaks farmhouse more than distressed wood and lavender. This piece isn't ordinary anymore. With a small glow up, it's now a statement. High-end stores like Pottery Barn and West Elm usually have quite a few two-handled vases with really pretty textures. When I found this thrifting, I was so excited that I didn't even mind the $5.49 price tag. I have been looking for a two-handled vase or jar like this for a long time. Using acetone to remove any sticker residue and cleaning it up all over, I'm going to start with a base coat of Ultra Grip by Fusion. Because this is very slippery and shiny, I want to dull it down a little bit to make sure that my paint sticks. Normally, I would take this outside to give it a coat of spray paint, either the base coat color that I'm using or a matte clear sealer. It's -12 here in Ontario, which is 10 degrees Fahrenheit, so way too cold to do anything outside. And since I have the Ultra Grip, I'm going to use it. Base coat I'm using is also from Dixie Belle, and it's a warm brown called chocolate. I have a link to the Dixie Belle websites in my description box if you want to see all of their gorgeous colors. One coat is all this jar needs for now. I'm really enjoying using these fan brushes that I got from Amazon. They are actually for face masks, but they are so soft and smooth for painting. And if you want to have a limited amount of brush strokes, then I would suggest grabbing a pack of these. I think you get 20 of them for about $10. The second color being used is a dark tan, and I'm mixing a lot of baking soda in it to give the paint some texture. This is just a sample latex paint from the hardware store. I usually use a stippling brush to apply textured paint, but I found this round sponge dauber in my stash and thought I would give it a try. Well, it's my new favorite brush for texture. If you use a light hand, you don't even notice the circle shapes, and it turned out so pretty. I started with a heavier touch on the bottom of the jug, then gradually lightened up towards the top. For the small spaces by the handle and spout, I switched to a soft brush that I could pounce with. For the final color, I added a product called Seaspray, which is a texture additive for paint. It's also by Dixie Belle. It's different than baking soda because it adds chunks of texture. It really reminds me of using coarse salt. You can really see the texture here, and it's lovely. I originally didn't want to go this heavy with this color, but I got so excited seeing the texture that I forgot what I wanted to do. So near the top of the jug, I slowed down and let some of the other colors shine through too. Seaspray is definitely a product that needs a sealer. Spray sealer is best because if left the way it is now, some of the texture can fall off in time. If you use a sealer that requires a brush, sometimes the brush strokes can actually pull off some of the texture. Probably the best thing to do, and what I will be doing at this point because I can't get outside to spray, is just cleaning off my little sponge dauber and using that to put the sealer on top. You would never guess just by looking at this jug that it was originally from a thrift shop. It looks like it jumped right out of the Pottery Barn catalog now. This piece was a lot of fun with all the layers and textures, and I'm so pleased with how it turned out. The wood aisle at secondhand shops is always my favorite to go through. For some reason, wood pieces are usually priced very well and are very inexpensive. I got all three of these items at different stores on different days. This riser base should have a cloche on it, but chances are that's why it got to the thrift store. The glass cloche probably broke. It's not the most modern of pieces. There are grapes engraved all the way around it. However, it's going to work perfectly for this project. I'm using salmon wood stain in the color dark walnut, applying it with a brush full strength and then wiping it back. This is going to camouflage that grape texture a little bit. The wooden bowl is made of maple, and I know that because on the bottom is the maker's mark. It's a Barabo craft piece that is made in Canada. I did some research, and in good condition, they might get $30 or $40 depending on the buyer. This one, as you can see here, has some of the original sealer missing, so it's a little spotted. This would have been the salad bowl in a salad bowl set, which would have come with 4 or 6 smaller little wooden bowls. It looks like this one probably ended up in somebody's dishwasher, which you're definitely not supposed to do with these wood pieces, and that's probably what happened to the finish. I'm going to use the stain on this one too, and just freshen it up. So did you guess what kind of glow up these pieces are getting? If you said putting them all together to make a stand, you're right. I'm using Weld Bond glue and hot glue to attach the bowl to the candlestick, and then the same for the candlestick to the riser. When I was finished, I went online to browse wooden bowl riser, and I was so surprised to find that there really is such a thing. My idea looks very similar to a vintage yarn bowl stand, just like these. Now I know what to call it if I decide to sell it on Facebook Marketplace. Let me know what you think of this inexpensive decor idea. It was made for less than $10. For my last project, I have been wanting a vintage looking globe for some time. I found this one for $4.99. The colors are way too bright for me, so using antiquing wax all over it with a couple of coats will deepen the tone. Thought about covering it with tissue paper and Mod Podge and then using the wax, but when I tried a small area at the bottom, it covered the lettering too much, so that was a no. If you have any ideas on how I could have muted the tones on this bright globe, let me know. Once that was dry, I used DIXIE BELLE Gilding Wax in bronze to cover the plastic holder, and I even added some to the wooden base. That elevated the look of this ordinary globe into an inexpensive high-end decor piece. DIXIE BELLE Gilding Wax also comes in a few other colors. I believe there's a gold, a silver, and a copper. I'm still going to hunt for a more vintage looking globe like this one from Magnolia, but for now, this one will do. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. If you like this video, here's another one you can watch now. And to see me shopping for ordinary items that need a glow up, check out my thrifting channel too. Bye for now.